So you want to be a YouTuber. Here we are on Kiwi Farms. You can find this if you look up Danny Stranger Kiwi Farms. And I got here not too long ago because I got like his whole story on here. Learning some things, filling in the voids where I didn't know, right? Like kind of learning, okay, 10 years ago this happened and this and this. It helps you piece together the story if you only caught up with Danny, say, 6 years ago or 7 years ago. And that's when I first met Danny. You see here they've just updated Danny Stranger, Danny Engstrom, wannabe YouTuber who turned a single fluke hit into years of viral life ruination and death by being shot on stream. That is a summary I think people probably could have predicted, and that's sad. But yeah, so you get here. So I guess people contribute to this site's way for a community collective to be able to tell the story about Danny. The introduction: Danny Garrett Engstrom of Pasco, Washington, under the moniker Danny Stranger, is a social media personality whose ill-fated attempt to spin a one-off viral video into a career has developed into him airing countless family feuds and legal confrontations live on his YouTube channel. Living in poverty while grinding for e-fame eventually paid off upon falling backwards into a hit video, subsequently ruining years of his life, trying to regain that attention and lashing out at those he deems attempting to keep him from it. So I'm scrolling through here, and early life. By his own word, Danny was molested by his father, later admitting to lying about that for attention online. Also molested by a doctor and a cousin throughout his childhood, and was at least once the victim of an attempted murder at the hands of his drug-abusing sister's dealer boyfriend. And that, I guess the clips from that are here for you to watch. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for playing these clips, so I'm going to hold off on this. But I do want to say, you know, if you follow Danny at all, he would be in a sort of bipolar relationship with his sister. His sister was credited with stepping in for his mom. You know, and these are words all out of Danny's mouth. This isn't from his sister's mouth or brother-in-law or his mom. Danny himself saying that, you know, she had a big role in helping raise him. She was, you know, obviously an influence on his life. There were some really, really, really like, I don't know how to, let me think here. I guess the best way to say it is there's at least eyewitness evidence that maybe, and this isn't really necessarily his sister's fault, but maybe because of her level of being able to take care of somebody, he was able to get in and out of these trouble spots all the time. You know, he never really paid the full price that a person would pay, and you know, his sister was often probably scapegoated, I would imagine. I know that she was watching, she was taking care of his child for the longest time, and Danny never really got looking at that in the way that you would. Occasionally he'd be like, you know, honest about it and say, you know, hey, she's doing a great thing, but most of the time it was he would say that she's using that over his head, stuff like that. What, you know, things that an immature person would say. Growing up, Stranger was quite the little delinquent, with crimes ranging from forgery, illegal burning, gun charges, and breaking restraining orders. Breaking restraining orders, wow. Amongst the litany of lesser charges. According to Danny, he has never once been responsible for any of these crimes and is constantly railroaded into taking plea deals every single time. This reoccurring pattern of being in constant trouble and it never being his fault under any circumstances will follow him throughout his whole life. And that brings us to the speculation we've been doing here lately, because, you know, we don't know for sure. Today I just read that an autopsy on Tuesday found that he had died from being shot multiple times in the chest. If you listen to the video, you hear 3 gunshots, and up until now I had only heard that he got shot in the head. And you know, you can see on the picture where he's laying underneath the car, you can see the hat is sort of a couple feet away from his body. So you start to, in your head, paint this picture. They said he had a gun. The people who shot him stuck around till the police got there, said he had a gun. Okay, so Danny must have pulled a gun and they were quick to the draw. And we all know, and if you know anything, you mostly know that broke people ain't got guns, man. Broke people, if they do have a gun, they only got it for the long enough to commit a crime and go to jail over it. Usually a broke person with a gun, they're on the way to the pawn shop to get some money to do whatever that person needs to do. That's just typical, my experience. Broke people don't have guns. But I can imagine Danny pretending he had a gun, being naive enough. Danny was not like Jang Scruffy Bannister, the reporter, the greatest reporter who ever came out of Oklahoma, Texas, said that he was a man trapped in a child's body. I actually think he was more of a he was a child trapped in a man's body. That's how I looked at it. Some people, they see a guy like Danny and they think child's body for whatever reason. The Herald here, the Tri-City Herald, was able to speak with Danny's niece, Miranda, and she told the Herald that Danny wasn't allowed to have guns, wasn't legally allowed to have one, and she admitted he struggled with mental health issues, but she always had good memories of him. He had a big heart. He was something I could turn to. On the other hand, another woman who he had been harassing believed police could have stepped in sooner. I warned everyone that he was a danger to himself and others, she wrote in an email to city council members following the shooting. I do believe that Danny would still be alive today if the multiple reports people had made about him had been handled differently. And I said something about this in my last video. And again, a lot of this is still speculation as far as the facts concerning his death. But you can tell from his videos, he'd be gone for 10, 12 hours at a time on a live stream. You're not in character for 10 to 12 hours at a time. You can bet that you're pretty much looking at the guy, Danny, for who he really is.
Just fucking kill me already, please. I don't care no more. Like, I don't care.
Add it to my tally, dude. Add it to my record, because got fucked for forgery when I didn't do no forgery. Got fucked for reckless burning, didn't do no burning. I got fucked with unlawful discharge of a firearm in city limits. These are all felonies, by the way, for shooting a BB gun in a backyard at a target,
So wasn't allowed to have a gun. There's another theory out there that maybe it was a BB gun, in fact, that he had. But man, if you're anybody who has any kind of time at all on a sidewalk in a city, maybe not even on the streets, but just sidewalk, trying to pretend you got a piece on you and it's only a BB gun is asking for it. So hopefully that isn't what it is. But then again, we're dealing with a guy who should have been... This is Washington State, by the way, a very liberal state who prides themselves on attacking the behavioral side of issues and giving people, a lot more chances in some cases. Conservatives would point out that, you put these people behind bars and make them do their time and they'll come out better. Whereas liberals may say, well, if you attack this from the mental health side of things and you really give an effort, you can change them from the inside out, right? You can make them better by helping their mental health. Either way, neither happen. And so you got a guy who kind of falls between the cracks in Danny Stranger. It says here, he was functionally illiterate until adulthood. Danny dropped out of high school early on, took on a series of low-paying jobs, get-rich-quick schemes to provide income. Initial attempts to be a video game live streamer proved to be fruitless. Danny repeatedly bitching and moaning about the lack of financial compensation these streams provided his family, an unemployed wife, 2 high-functioning autistic children. These efforts would often result with him embroiled in fierce online slap fights, more often than not with his children.
Alright, guys. So I have tried pretty much everything here on my channel, and nothing seems to get out to a broader audience. Matter of fact, my own subscribers don't even watch my content. Now, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, so if you guys have any advice, opinions, negativity, I'd love for you to leave it down in the chat below. I've tried a lot to get this channel to be more active. Giveaways, I've literally have done it all. I've done pranks, it's crazy, guys, it is. So, if I don't get the views that I used to get, thousands per video per day, I will put an end to this channel. Now, I'm glad that I have the subscribers that I do that are active. I appreciate you guys. I'm not sure if the notifications are not going through or what the whole case is, but I will end YouTube. I still will get...
To me, that's like being in denial there, and you know, this happens with the algorithm or whatever. It's with these, a lot of people who are, I don't know, functionally illiterate. They tend to blame their audience for the way things are going, and it just doesn't work that way. I don't know why people, whatever. To me, this is a problem with social media, but YouTube in particular has like a pathway for the mentally ill to just work their way right up to the front, at least the front of the bottom of YouTube. And that usually is because they get themselves into some sort of online slap fights back and forth. They drum up a little controversy. Maybe they get a couple few fan supports. There's an online community that I'm very familiar with. The leadership is just full of mentally ill people. Self-described mentally ill folks who YouTube, it's not like they should just say, hey man, you're mentally ill, you don't get a chance to be doing this. But what ends up happening is, in this, and what I believe happened in this case, Danny mentally, I don't know that he checked out. I think the YouTube experience became Danny's entire existence. Here, Danny's going to make a threat, like, I'm going to leave YouTube, and it's almost like a woe is me, oh darn shucks, I guess I'll leave. And this isn't the way to make what he hopes will happen. In his mind, he thinks if people only felt sorry for me, they would watch, share my stream out, make sure that their friends watched it.
But I will no longer be uploading here on YouTube. I'm not going to make another channel. I'm not going to take time to make videos for them to get nowhere. So, I need you guys' advice down in the comments below. What do you think I should do with this channel? I'm thinking about just letting it go, not uploading it on it no more, and just throwing the towel. But
of course, we all know he didn't do that, and he didn't even mean that. But again, like I said, YouTube full of the mentally ill. Unless you spend your time sort of on the bottom of YouTube, you really don't get to see this. If you're just kind of on YouTube to watch some videos here and there, you're definitely not deep diving into what would be sort of the bottom of YouTube to see the mental illness catch hold. But it's everywhere. And they form little cults, and they call themselves kings of the Boit, that Boit meaning bottom of YouTube, or the queen of this or that. And when in reality, you know, people whose mental health is just fine, normal, whatever, they kind of scoff at that, laugh at that, think it's a joke. But these mentally ill people can end up, you know, killed or killing someone. They may be, you know, homeless or barely hanging on, like Danny Stranger was in a camper all alone with no one to, like, you know, he didn't feel like he had support. And if you looked around him at any time while you're watching him on his live stream, there he is sitting all alone with his thoughts. YouTube definitely has a mentally ill people problem. And it's associated with, you know, these videos aren't getting a lot of views. So we're being at the bottom of YouTube, they're flying under the radar. And while certain very small groups, say, I don't know, 100 to 300 people see it all of the time, YouTube itself probably doesn't even know it exists. But they are indeed everywhere you look. And I hope that YouTube will see this stuff before we continue to have more of these. Remember that murder in Las Vegas that happened not too long ago? More smaller level YouTubers, bigger than the Boit level YouTubers, but people getting in online beefs. There's the mental illness was definitely clear before that murder happened. And then mentally ill people turn on mentally ill people, and they group up into little mentally ill, like cults, and they bully other people online. And so they get support. They feel like, look like, act like a normal group of people, but then they convene and don't hold each other responsible. And I think that's the main thing. When YouTube can't do it, it's going to have to be up to the people who are around the mentally ill people to hold them responsible. And realize that every now and then, right, squirrel gets a nut. There's Danny's viral video 1.3 million views from 8 years ago. Look how happy and healthy he seems and appears. But the childishness is just right underneath, the surface here. Walmart, you're not even supposed to be recording in Walmart if you're a customer, let alone if you're an employee. But you can't hate on somebody for going viral. The thing was that he went viral, and then he forever chased down that feeling until his end. I do think that no matter what, we're going to probably always have mentally ill people who are maybe even tragically mentally ill, people who would, I don't know, go to other people's pages to intentionally try to upset them, to get people to get angry at them because they hide behind a computer screen, they hide behind that keyboard, they hide behind masks that they cut out of honeycomb boxes, and they, probably it's just the internal struggle that they're dealing with. But when you turn it over on other people, it can result in being shot to the head and chest. Only exasperated by people who will fund people who are mentally ill, people who are struggling with alcohol and drug abuse. If you have someone out there who is, handing over money to fund someone who is in that situation, and they're able to continue to abuse themselves because they're getting money from somebody, enabling them to stay high, stay drunk, stay on YouTube, stay in this very safe lane that they have chosen for themselves, instead of getting themselves any kind of counseling or therapy or seeking a professional, as was mentioned by the person who Danny had gotten a restraining order from. That woman, the person who, by the way, had a restraining order against Danny, and then also went to the police department to say, hey, listen, you guys failed. The system has failed Danny. And that's why we are where we are today. Who knows what went down? We don't know what went down. We're still trying to wait and find out. But God forbid anybody try to ask anybody close to the situation, because they would be just, some sort of vulture, right? Some sort of vulture. Sure. I'm going to continue to follow the story about Dan, and hopefully maybe even a docu-series about the twisting reality that is mentally ill people, especially and particularly on YouTube, being enabled and being able to stay away from the help they actually need, because people, there are peeps all over the place who will enable somebody to continue to hurt themselves until they're gone. Rest in peace, Danny Stranger.